So ask yourself, what could you do if you cared for yourself more? If you were more of a caring person rather than an active person, what would life be like for you if you were activated by your heart energy rather than your mind energy? Or that even with a mind energy, predominant mind energy, that you are working from your heart, that everything you did was filtered through your heart. It's caring for anything that you're doing, just standing up, making a cup of tea, being in a space of whatever it is that you are doing matters. How many times have you heard it said? How many times have you said it? Don't be a girl. How much pressure has this put our young boys on to hear this talk in a time when so much pressure is on them, scholastically, physically, and just mentally in general? So, what I found with young boys is, or many of my clients, they reach puberty and they've got this decision to make around giving up being a carefree child and stepping into manhood. Unfortunately, looking at the world today, manhood hasn't been a great place to step into. We've had um, mostly men running the planet, and it's not a man-hating talk I'm giving. It's about energy. Too much male energy in this world, running this world. And if you look at the diagrams that I'm showing here, we're putting boys under pressure to remain boys, but to be sensitive, to be empathetic, which are female qualities in the way of energy, in the way of energy fields. So we need to understand the energy fields we're in. So when I touch a person's hands and feet, I get images of what is happening to their energy. There are 4 energy fields I discovered, and they all hold different aspects of us. Some of us, some are parts of us are innocent, empathetic, and inspirational. Other parts take action in the world. They're logical, they're forceful, and they take action in the world. Other parts are nurturing, caring, and more female aspects. And yet again, others are highly compassionate and divine love energy. So when these are out of kilter, then we have problems. So what's out of kilter now is what I call an earth male energy field that has dominated the planet for thousands of years, and it's got heightened lately or in recent history through neoliberalism. So we have a world that is totally out of kilter, and we're expecting young men to step gracefully into this and go forward in the world. Many of these soft, gentle, beautiful boys, we are expecting them to be forceful, brutal, and uncaring. So if you look at the energy field structure, you can probably tell which field you're in if you tick off some of the aspects and some of the parts of yourself that you can see. Also, the energy fields can help you to look at what you need to um, encourage a bit more with yourself, to encourage better self-care, better self-nurturing, which reflects on our relationships, and this is myself included, reflects on relationships that we have with each other, relationships we have with our work, and relationships with countries, with other countries, and how we relate to other countries. So there's no right or wrong. It's a matter of what it is that you're encouraging and promoting in yourself, in your work, in our education system. What are we doing in our education system? What are we encouraging boys and girls to be? So fortunately, in the last few years, boys and girls are encouraged to be a little more of the other perspective. And we look at the social constructs that we've been encouraged since birth to be, where boys have been encouraged to be in their masculine energy, girls have been encouraged to be in their female energy, and often that's more than encouragement, it's brutality to force young boys to be more brutal and to force young girls to sit still and be passive. So these are, I believe, crimes against our humanity, that we would do this to children, let alone in some countries where they completely cover women from head to toe, which not only diminishes women, it diminishes the men who would do this to them. That people who would do this to women in the world do this to their own energy field. So they lack that nourishment for themselves. So if we lack nourishment for ourselves in certain fields and in certain areas, then we have to get that nourishment from somewhere else. If we suppress our male side, as a woman, if I suppress my male side, then the male activities I've got to look for outside of myself. And in that, I would expect a male to come and fill that gap. And it's the same with men who have had their female energy suppressed in them. They can't look after themselves so well. They can't nourish themselves. They can't look after themselves physically half the time. And this is what is happening with our young men and women, but also men now. I feel it's just a bit more confusing for men, for young boys who once just had to settle into their male energy. Now they're faced with settling into their male energy, but also being ridiculed and humiliated for for accessing the female aspects of themselves, for being soft. So, which is interpreted as weakness, but in fact it's not weakness. It's one of the greatest things that they can discover about themselves and to allow to come through themselves, to activate that in the world. So if we had more, if those in power, which are mainly men, had more of their female energy, that is empathy and compassion, nurturing and caring for others, then we would see less destruction, we would see less rape for women, less rape of the planet, of the environment, because we just couldn't do it if that is how the thinking went. But rather than destroy the environment, we would care for it, as many men and women are doing. We would also be unable to destroy indigenous cultures. You could not have colonization if you weren't coming from your male energy field. So we have a Western world that's deeply in its male energy, and an indigenous world that demonstrates female aspects. They care for the land, they nurture the land, they live with the land, whereas the male aspect is conquers the land, conquers the people, conquers new worlds. Excuse me. So, so what is going on internally is also going on externally. So once we change these paradigms within ourselves, we start to change the world around us. And this, I believe, is what is happening now. The world is transitioning into more of a female energy field. So the big changes that are happening are not to our detriment. They're to our advantage, that we will care for the planet better, we'll care for ourselves better, and we will care for others better. So there's hope, I believe. I believe there's great hope. So we need to teach young men and women to care for themselves, to be able to nurture themselves. So when we have a COVID lockdown, as we've had recently, and a higher number of suicides, we need to understand that people must have the skills to care for themselves, to nurture themselves. It must become part of our work as educators, as just caring society members, that we teach young boys to care for themselves and to have respect for others, to have respect for girls, that girls matter too, that what happens to girls is a reflection of them and their society. So we want a better world, and we are creating a better world. So what we do matters, what you do matters, and you matter. What you do matters. Your input into this planet is vital to be part of a growing change that's happening. So we need you to live, we need you to look after yourself, and we need you to care for your environment, the people around you, and to care for the work you do. That your life is a joy, or if not a joy, you have purpose. And the purpose is to care for yourself, care for your neighbour, to care for your planet. We only have one planet at this stage. So I wish you well, and thank you.